Rustle,
here.
rustle,
Yes.
rustle.
Are we ready for this week's topic? And the topic is...
Let the rustle become a hustle.
What have we got here?
one night stands.
Woo!
One night stands.
First things first.
Yes.
Why is it called a one night stand? Is it a one night stand or is it a one night stand? You only saw one nightstand, or it's a one night stand where in which standing is not much on the agenda.
Why not?
could be.
Well,
It
it
could
could
be.
be. That's also maybe what makes me sexy.
Yeah.
So, one night stands, y'all.
Yeah.
I haven't done that many one night stands.
What? Basically, they're hookups. And
I
there's
guess.
no like looking back or keeping in touch. There's just no...
You literally walk away without turning.
Yeah.
That's it. Just one night hookup and you're done.
Mm.
And even more so, I think it's cranked up if it's a complete rank stranger. Because otherwise it's just hooking up with a friend. But I suppose that's also one night stand. But what if it's somebody that you see occasionally, you know, on a bi-weekly...
Like a fuck buddy.
Yeah.
that
So
would
would
be
that be? Is that really a one night stand? I suppose for that quarter, you know, probably not, right? So I
Yeah,
guess
let's stick
really
to
we're
the-
sort of thinking about rank stranger type scenes.
Yeah.
In that case, then I have had no experience.
What?
Yeah, I've never had a one night stand.
So I have, thanks to the likes of Tintin and the or OKC as well.
Yeah.
And because I'm not in a place where I'm looking for anything more,
Yeah.
they are one night stands. If we hit it off, of course, it can't be a dullard. But yeah, I'm not looking for any emotional connection
Yeah.
since I'm not emotionally available.
So let's go back to the time when you first had a one night stand.
Oh yeah.
How did it progress? Like, how did you both know that this, like, you wanted to go hook up? Did you even go to
because we
person's
had dinner
house?
first.
Oh.
The dinner's not the reason, so I can't say because of dinner. But we had dinner and there was clearly vibing going on during dinner. Of the lusty kind. Not of anything else. So there was the whole song and dance of, oh, I have something to show you, but it's in my room. Which, I mean, I knew, Cherry knew, this is a bit of song and dance to what this is going to be. So I knew what I was actually saying yes to, and I said, yes, I want to come check out this thing in your room.
Yeah.
And it wasn't his dick, but it was really something he wanted to show me. But that was the, step toward that. So once you're there, then the vibe changes even more. And then
I might have
there's
more to show you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how it, it was just more like consenting adults just being like, sort of in the mood.
Has it ever been when, like, you're not sure what the other party wants? Like, has there ever been cases like this?
Not for me. Mojo, what about you? Because for me, it's communication. Like, what are we here for? I mean, increasingly, I've gotten very good at making sure that it's clear before we even meet that if we really hit it off, then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What is this conversation in need of? So there hasn't been any question of that. Although, I mean, I have to say, I can come back to that story as well of how it didn't quite pan out the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
What have your experiences been?
I think especially in the gay community, I think most of the hookups are one night stands. Because it's very hard to find someone, and a lot of people aren't even looking, I feel but of course that you once in a while run into people who want to see if things work out, and we are open to exploring and seeing where this goes. But most of the meetings or whatever encounters, if you will, are one night stands. So I've done quite a few of those. I think you meet someone, go straight for it, or do the whole song and dance, catch up for a drink, coffee, whatever, all of that. But I think there's something really exciting to one night stands. It's just this short period of time where you can get to know and experience and all of that. Yeah, I've had some really romantic ones as well, where it's been like, oh, we stay the night, and in the morning, the
Or do
person
breakfast and whatnot.
order breakfast or make breakfast. The person was made breakfast for me, which I thought was amazing. So all of those things, and some of those have been like great memories to have as well. And some of those have translated into good friendships, like over time. I think I think I'm still in touch with some of them. Not that we necessarily hook up, but it can lead to a lot of things. There is that opportunity, I think, if you make something of it. Otherwise, it's bang bang, thank you, and then you move on.
And you're the person that is more inclined for the wham bam, or
Depends on your
are you
mood.
emotionally available right now to convert on these one night stands?
No, I mean, totally depends if I'm attracted. If during the course of the night or whatever, I feel some attraction, some
Extra,
chemistry, something extra, yeah.
Then you'd be open. You're like sort of sort of
yeah.
intellectually open to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't, and not yet.
Mm.
So for me, the question of whether it's the preponderance of the experiences have been, one night stand with the sole intent of it being a one night stand. We're not keen on a second date. But there was one time, to your question, Pixie, earlier about whether or not it's clear. Is it sort of weird, like at the time when the transaction has to transpire? I guess the person wasn't completely sure that they wanted to, and I really needed, to get the ROI on this. So, because we chatted for a while.
Yeah.
The ROI on this.
Yeah. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
So, time is money, bro. Well, time is time, I should say. And so, then they were interested in doing other stuff. Like, they wanted to get some, other substances. So, it began like that, and then I guess they were then fine, got a little relaxed. But this is going back to that whole notion of netrovertedness, trying to be super alpha on the internet, but then in real life not really having the mojo to see it through. So sometimes they need a little liquid courage, sometimes they need a little other courage, and then it works out. And other times it's been exactly what we discussed. We say, hey, if we hit it off over drinks, it's happening. And then we just decide. So with that person, where that happened, it's happening. We had drinks, and then we were like, yeah, right? We're on, right? Let's do this. He's like, yep. It's happening.
Yeah.
But it's completely strange, like completely going out to a bar and picking someone up kind of thing.
Yeah.
That I've never done. I mean, maybe once at least I should do that. But what do you...
I mean, that's where I was getting at. Like, there are these kind of one night stands where you like chat with someone, you meet them, and then... But like, what about those instances when you just see someone at a bar or at a movie, you really like the individual, have a conversation, go home?
Yeah. I think I've done a couple of those. I think once I was in New York and I was in a gay bar and this person was really good looking, and then he was going to the washroom, and then I kind of followed, and I was waiting outside, and I said, I was actually waiting for you. And then we got chatting. We were sat at the bar for a while, chatted.
I love that.
Love it.
And then
it could have gone super creepy also.
yeah, but then
But you're so... You're adorable.
Yeah, as long as you don't pose like a threat or be forceful in any way, I think people, because especially in a gay bar, I think possibilities are many, and I think people are more open probably.
Yeah.
And then we ended up sitting at the bar, chatting, made out some, and then took a cab and left. It was really, really, it was new. It was in New York, and these were things you just watched in movies. And classic was we were making out on the road, and then I was like, oh my god, this is like, what? This is blowing my mind. And then we were right outside someone's house, like these New York houses, right?
Oh, sure,
The brownstone houses.
The
with the stairs.
small flight of stairs
Yeah,
and the door and all of that. We were right next to someone's house. right in front of their door, and then this person whistles and the cab stops, and then we go jump into the cab and then make out some more. It was something.
And just visualizing
Sounds
it, it's like a
sexy as
movie.
hell.
It was like a movie.
Oh my
and,
God.
Yeah. This one other encounter was I'd gone to a movie by myself and then ended up chatting with this person next to me, and we had a lot of conversations about the movie and all of that.
While the movie was on.
No, not
You're not
while
one
the
of
movie
those.
was. Yeah, no. While the movie was on, it was just a lot of like
Physical?
knowing smiles and like both of us were enjoying the movie, and the person was really enjoying it clearly a lot more. So
Which
during
one? Which do you remember? Which one?
no, this was like one of those indie movies. It was about the theater scene in Pune and all of that. There was like a offbeat movie that was made. I think it's called some DCH or something, some random name it had. And then during the intermission, we got chatting some more, and I got to know the person had lived in those places, and there was a lot of like fun memories. So that's why he was connecting to it so strongly. And then once the movie was over, we on our way down, I think we ended up chatting a lot about movies. Have you watched this? Have you watched that? And then both of us were getting our cabs, so it was this weird thing, and I didn't know what this was. I didn't even know this person's orientation, so it was a complete shot in the dark. And then I was like, do you want to continue this conversation back home? And then I'd got my cab, so the person just jumped into the cab. We came home. Even when we were home, I had no clue where this was going, so we ended up talking a lot more about movies. But then when it was time to call it a night, I think we figured, and then
What? How? Come
I
on,
think,
that's
like,
important
how?
detail.
I don't know. I think these small hints. It's just
Like what kind of hints? Tell us.
I don't know. Let me remember.
A touch, a caress,
Yeah,
a
probably
lingering hug.
one of that, and then maybe like, oh, you want to go inside or whatever, and then
Who said that?
I think I said it.
and he was like enthusiastically like, hell yeah, girl.
Yeah. There was more. Yeah. The person was very agreeable.
That's
Yeah.
a really
Lovely
lovely story.
story.
So I want to talk about what happens after a one night stand. So you, Mojo, mentioned something about breakfast and all this idyllic stuff. But what about people that you intend for it to be one night stand? So
Yeah.
for example, let's say this one. I don't know whether you had other feelings for the Pune movie star fella. I'm just going to call him that. But then you don't see these people again. Let's say you don't exchange any personal details, but in this case, perhaps you did. He saw your house, blah, 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 all those things. Is the idea that you're hoping that you never see them again? Or if you do, is that weird? Have you encountered people that you've had one night stands with later in life in some other sort of space?
Yeah.
Like, I sort of, in one way, one thing that tempers my enthusiasm for it is this. Just like
What
seeing
happens
them in
after?
like the professional workspace, let's say randomly,
Yeah.
some organization or something, and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Box?
Yeah. Oh, I have. So
You have seen
I have
folks.
people. I have met
And then
people.
what is it like?
So
Really, what I'm trying to do is learn some tips and tricks to, I don't know. So how do you deal with it? Is it
Yeah, I mean, my general principle and mode of operation is be nice to people, be kind, like especially during one night stands, because and that's something that I really believe in, because I think these are small encounters, when you look at life, but they can leave lasting effects on people if it's it's horrible and all of that, right? So my general behavior is be nice to people, be kind, even if I'm not super into them, but like after a while we both figure that this is not working or whatever. But a lot of times we haven't even exchanged numbers or whatever, but a lot of times I've run into some of these people, and it's been interesting. Like, I think then I kind of like, we don't talk about it and just like meet as friends or whatever.
Acquaintances. Hey,
Yeah,
what's
hi,
up?
yeah. And
so we just pretend it didn't happen.
yeah, we don't necessarily talk about it unless there was chemistry or whatever, right? So
Well, let's say there was. Then what happened?
then probably one of us will bring it up, right?
And say, hey, why did you call me? Or like,
there
does
is
it
no
get awkward like that?
I don't think.
Sherry, in your experience, when you've ended things that night, like how does it end? Like,
So
see
I
you
usually,
again?
yeah.
Or what happens?
So it's usually like, hey, so here's the thing with me. I find it very hard to lie. I can't, it's not a thing that, comes to me naturally. And, I think, like Mojo said, I think it's also important to be a regular, nice, human being about these things kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't know that I use kindness per se as a guiding principle, because that would take me down the path of saying yes to things that I don't want to. It's just how it works for me. So I don't even say things like, yeah, like a pleasantry. I cannot bring myself to saying, oh yeah, see you. Okay, see, like, just how we say it, just we don't mean it. Like, see you soon, or like, whatever. We say see you later.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So if I'm not going to see you soon and or later, I'll just be like, bye. It was nice to have met you.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's how it ends, and that is how it ends. So one time we went to his place, and I had to be somewhere later in the morning. So I got up at 6:30, 7 or something. I don't know if I had an alarm on, but I put it on, and this person was like in deep slumber, and I just left. So there wasn't even a bio in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if I was to see that person, I have to say this, and with no offense meant, but I think the faces start to fade. In time, I'm not saying that there's been so many people, it hasn't been that many, but they're sort of fading because I don't know them, right? It's just that one night. So I don't know, it started to all meld into one generic face kind of feeling. Like, if I saw this person, I don't know if I'd really be like, oh, and then have an awkward moment. I'd probably just go through the motions of meeting a new person, stranger, like, be affable and just meet a new person.
Right.
But if I was to become cognizant of the fact, like, I was like, oh, I think I do a pretty good job of pretending nothing ever transpired between us.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I'm trying to think about, is that on one hand, that's what I do. But on the other hand, like, that's not real. Like, that's me pretending, like, that pretense irks me a little bit, the fact that I do that. Just pretend like it didn't happen. Why can't we just be, there's something about shunning, like I'm trying to brush under the carpet. That means as I keep working backwards on that equation, and so what does that mean? Why am I doing that? Okay, is it because I'm embarrassed about it? Like, where is the root of me pretending?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just work on that, and so whenever I see people who are just embracing and they meet each other and they're like, Lala, like, normal, we did have sex, so what?
Yeah.
Like, it's healthy and it's fun, we had fun, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like we went for a movie. I mean, it's not like, ooh, you're gonna pretend we didn't go for a movie, right? It's just as normal as that. So I've been trying to think through why I have these thoughts or feelings, and luckily I haven't met any of them. It's just sort of in my mind. These are all just sort of these sort of thought exercises that I'm going through just to get myself, to the level that I want to be at.
Absolutely. One person that I hooked up with, I run into him at the gym all the time, and we don't acknowledge each other at all.
Exactly, this is what I mean. I feel like I want to be doing that, and I really don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
So why in this case is it slightly? Because once you've started ignoring each other, then skip bad, you can't bring back.
Yeah.
So why was there even that ignoring in the first place?
I don't know. I don't think we
intentionally?
Yeah, it was very bodily. No, it was very whatever I needed right now, and that's how both of us met. And there was no connecting as people that happened during the course of the night. And nothing much happened as well. It was a kind of a quickie or whatever, right? And then so now when we run into each other, I don't think there's much to talk about other than probably we just met this one evening. We don't have a lot of common friends, things like that. So I don't know how the other person feels about it, whether they're ashamed, whether they want to keep in touch. I'm usually open to saying at least a hello, because but I feel the person kind of actively avoiding, and now it's become a thing. Like, I don't care as well, so we kind of go past each other.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good dimension. I mean, I was just thinking as I was been contemplating this, is I mean, neither owes it to the other person. Like, you don't have to become friends. There was never, like, you weren't signing up to become bosom buddies.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm like putting myself through this, like, on some level, you call it guilt. For, is it because I'm some sort of repression that's playing out here? Or is it just, I mean, I don't owe it to this person. Hello. And I don't want this to come out as sour grapes, kind of like, oh, I'm just being defensively saying, why should I be friends? Why should I say hi? I mean, like, genuinely, there is no call for it. Like, exactly what you said, there's nothing to talk about. Like, you literally have nothing.
Exactly.
What are you going to talk about?
I also feel like the nature of the evening, because you also said, right, there was no connection before or after. Like,
Correct.
say, for example, if you met the man who you met at the movie theater, it might be very different because there was so much connection before.
Yeah.
And with this other person, it was just, I think that also dimension determines how things happen later if you were to meet someone later, because there's other things that you can connect with besides just the act of having sex.
But here's the thing for me, though, that the one night stand, I don't need to have these other dimensions. Like, I don't need to have bonded with you over movies. Because that's something actually genuinely important to me.
Yeah.
I love discussing movies and whatever. So I don't want it to be that. Like, I don't share personal details. Or I don't share things that are identifiers. Simply because there's no call to do, so I don't have to. But all other topics are game. Where open for discussion. Like, maybe you bond on movies or whatever. But even without all that, strip away all of that. And you're really just there for this. If you sort of hit it off, like, you're not. Yeah. Basically, all you're saying is there's no major red flag. Then we're on for the night. Yeah. That's pretty much it. There's no other criterion. And so I'm just trying to think: is there a way to do that and then just be healthy? Like, hey, like human, or like let's say you start jogging in some place, you don't know the next person from Adam or Eve, and you just say hi, good morning, like just the way you would just say hello. How are you doing? Not because you become friends, just because human beings being human beings, and that way, that kind of thing is what I'm trying to see. Can I get to that place where I'm like that, which would help me? Well, it would temper my enthusiasm less. Like, I would then go out and do it more. There's a part of me that's like wants to avoid that awkwardness because the city gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and our worlds are getting, like, social circles are getting more and more incestuous. Yeah. That moment in my mind, the back of my mind, I'm always aware. When, let's say, I'm chatting with someone on Tinder or OkCupid or something, I'm like, what if it turns out like this person, works at some company that I went to or something. It's just like, and then I think to myself, my God, Cherry, this place is so massive. Just relax. Yeah. So it's just those two things. Like, if I could just avoid this feeling at all, feeling it at all, then I'd probably go out and do it more. And I'm realizing that I don't because I want to just avoid this awkwardness.
Sure. Yeah. What you said about not sharing a lot of details and all of that just got me thinking. Like, I think I also used a lot of the one night stands to just learn about other people. Because I think being gay and growing up as a gay person is a lonely sort of an experience. So in these brief encounters, I was also getting a sort of like a window into another person's life. Like, what's your story? I think a lot of us do this, especially as gay people, where we're like, okay, what's your story? Like, where are you on this journey? Are you out to your family? It's a common rhetorical question that, are you out? Are you not out? Who knows? All of that. So there is a sort of like sharing of
solidarity,
personal experiences. And I mean, I've also met straight people. I've also met married people. So, just the experience of what is your story? What is your journey like? What are you looking for? All of those are so interesting learning experiences as well. I mean, you don't necessarily look at it that way when you're kind of in the moment or in the act, but kind of looking back, I think because you met so many people, you kind of know what we're all kind of looking for, what we want, all of that kind of thing. I'm kind of just going like super meta.
You know what that's made me think of, Mojo? Like, that's actually made me reflect and realize something just in this moment. You're experiencing it live.
Okay.
As I am doing this, is that why don't I think like that? So it's so heteronorm, the privilege of not having to ask that question. Like, that's the norm, and the others have to discuss how, where, when did you get here, and what did you realize about your sexuality, and who knows, like when did you start getting active and things like that. Because who knows is comes after you started recognizing it and then acting on it perhaps and stuff. So why don't I see what I try to do is, I mean, I do like to get to know people, love humans, but I don't want any identifiers. I don't need to know where you're actually from, your name. I don't need to know anything that I can look you up and find you. But the rest of your human story interests me greatly. Like we could discuss that.
Yeah.
You know, what you like, what you don't. All these things are fair game. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try that next time to discuss your journey in your sexuality.
Yeah.
Who cares if you're hetero? You know, that's super norm.
Yeah.
But just to normalize that conversation is not just a special thing that the gay community has to do.
Yeah.
I feel like that would, yeah,
I think because we probably don't have that many outlets, I think we kind of probably use this as an
no,
opportunity.
and it's so important. No, to make the realm of sexuality not just something that the gay people, or the gay community has to always keep speaking up for. Like, just because you're gay doesn't mean you have to talk about your sexuality all the time, right?
Yeah.
No, and what I'm trying to say is that's so healthy that you get to do that and talk about that, whereas hetero folks don't.
Yeah.
And that's something else we talk about, how the podcast is about just discussing, and how that kind of decompression must be so liberating, right?
Yeah.
With the rank stranger doing that.
Yeah.
That's such a great idea. And I know the root of that conversation is far more painful than what I'm saying, which is from a place of privilege, saying I'm going to do it because I want to. Whereas this comes from a need of really like having had no other people like to speak to, perhaps in those earlier days, or wanting to. There are fewer stories out there about this, and wanting to identify that piece of you in your story with the piece in my story, and that's so lovely. I'm gonna see if I want to bring that in. It's something very
liberating, healthy about that experience, even in
so
that one moment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah. And what's so interesting about one night stands is how you can be two strangers, and the next thing you know, you're like naked in front of each other.
Absolutely.
Like,
now that as we've been talking, I've been reflecting on like just my own experiences, and there is sort of one example that we could identify as a one night stand, which was Delhi man.
The hotel fella.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a lot of conversation on text before we got to the hotel.
Yeah.
We never met each other.
But you never met after that.
We've never met after that.
So that
counts.
Yes.
That does count. And I remember one of the things that was amazing for me was this idea that I could be naked in front of someone and have no emotional connection to that person. That moment was like, wow. Like, you don't have to have this emotional intensity to be with someone and to like enjoy the pleasure of what is sex and everything around it. You could absolutely do it without any emotions, and that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's amazing. I was, as we've been speaking, I'm just reflecting that was one of the things I really enjoyed about that moment.
Yeah.
I think maybe that is why we do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that forms a big part of why there's a excitement about it, a thrill for it,
and because there are no strings attached. It's so kind of liberating to ask what you want or tell whatever you want.
No
baggage, and
no cloakroom. For the baggage. Oh wait, there is a cloakroom. You keep it outside and you come into this room without.
It's that one moment, that very present moment, and that's all that matters.
So you can
more one night stands.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make it whatever you want it to be, I feel.
And I think that I've now realized that it's not talking about a nightstand, but it's a one night standing situation.
Yep.
Where we've decided that standing is sexy as hell, by the way.
And healthy.
Healthy!